Hey, happy Friday everyone. It's Dr. Raymond and thank you so much for watching my YouTube channel. And welcome to my vlog as you follow me as I start my own practice. So it's kind of been an interesting week, but today we'll talk about one of the most difficult processes in starting my medical process was just trying to find a building to actually practice in. So prior to this, I had no knowledge about how to obtain a lease for a commercial building. I'd never done it before. When the opportunity was presented to me, I discussed with some of the other doctors, and like I said, no one really goes out and just runs out and starts their own practice. So a lot hadn't done it. They were all employed, by a hospital, and they had a practice that way. So I knew that God had called me to do this, and I'm just like, okay, God, do you have a building in mind? Because at this point, I'm going to be practicing out my apartment, and that seems super sketchy. I mean, I personally wouldn't go to someone that's practicing medicine out their house. I mean, but people do all kind of crazy things nowadays, getting plastic surgery in garages. I don't know, but I personally am not about that life. So after asking around, I mean, you do what we all do nowadays, you Google it. So I came across a website and signed up and saw a couple buildings that were in my price range and kind of the square footage that I needed as a single practitioner in an office. And I just wrote down those addresses and phone numbers of the realtors and contacted them, and I took a friend and we basically went around and looked at these buildings, and it's amazing. You never really pay attention to these signs that for commercial buildings for a lease, and as we're driving I see all these buildings, so we would stop along the way and get that contact information as well. So after searching, it came to about 2 buildings. There were some other ones that were in an area that I wanted, but one I did not realize it was a shell. So there was nothing had been done in this building, and I was just like, okay, well, maybe we can do that the next time. But at this point, I am not ready to do a complete build out on a building. That's I can't do that right now. So one was in McKinney, and it was a beautiful building, and I think they listed the square footage as like 1,100 feet or something. So I went to go check it out, liked it from the exterior, and then we went inside. This place is tiny, and I just had so many concerns about this building. I'm gonna let you see a clip now, and you tell me if I'm wrong about this sink situation. You'll see in the clip later. The first one shows the entrance, which is so small. You could add, it's supposed to be the waiting area. You can fit at most 2 chairs there. And then the second clip will be me in the car immediately after, so you'll hear my thoughts on that. And then I have some pictures of the second building. So the second building was belonged to internists. I'm internal medicine as well. So the thing that I liked about this building is that everything was set up. I wouldn't have to add anything because he was an internal medicine physician as well. The only thing was that the building is a little bit older, but this one was absolutely perfect to me. And you'll see the clip and the pictures, and then we'll come back and finish talking about it. And then through the front door.
And as I said, this would be closed, locked.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Today.
Okay. Let's see. How are you?
I'm sorry. How are you?
I forgot you had told me they were still using this office. Hi. Hello. I'm just with the realtor. Okay.
sure you can see.
And then I forgot the second. Do you have to come through here to get to the second one?
No, there is a door right there.
Oh.
You can go through there. Or there is a door on the front too, so they all have doors in.
So I just went to go take a look at this building to potentially lease for a medical office. And I have so many concerns and questions. So let's start with the main concern. Well, okay, we'll start with number one. As soon as you enter the building, it has this tiny entryway. You can fit like at most 2 chairs in there and like 1 person, you know, that's standing. So that is not sufficient to have a waiting room. So that's already like, what is this? So you could potentially change the first room into a waiting room, reception room. It's huge, but then you would only have 2 exam rooms. So I would not be willing to do that. The second and greatest concern that I have is that there in the exam rooms, there is no plumbing available, so no sinks. I have an issue with that. If you go to your physician's office, would you be alarmed if they didn't have a sink in the exam room? It's like, okay, are you washing your hands? You're wearing gloves, but what's underneath those gloves? You know, I mean, I know evidence shows that using sanitizer is equivalent to hand washing, but no, like, you need a sink. My other concern, which is closely related to the second concern, is that another physician was using this space. I think they told me she did aesthetics, like Botox and fillers. So I'm like, what were you doing? You don't have water. So I think they told me that she was using like bottled water or something. That's not an option for me. Okay. And third concern is they advertise the space at about 1,000 feet, 1,000 square feet. I think it's like 1050. But that includes common areas. There's a common bathroom, which is another concern, and then a common area that's a break room. So if you actually take away the common areas, it ends up being 800 square feet, which is extremely small. The price is pretty good. They include all utilities, the location. The interior is actually nice, as well as the exterior, but no sinks. We're gonna have to keep looking. So, am I wrong about the sinks? Like, what are these Harry Potter sinks? Do I have to wave a wand around and they magically appear? That to me makes no sense. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. But eventually we settled. I really wanted the second building because, like I said earlier, I wouldn't have to do anything. It's already set up for the needs that I have. But I had a lot of trepidation. Number one, I was a victim of identity theft and my credit was awful. Some things I was able to repair, but not everything. And then I knew that I was a new physician coming right out of residency. So I'm like, God, I don't think anyone is going to give me a lease. To be honest, I probably wouldn't give me a lease. I consider myself to be high risk. So push comes to shove, worked with the realtor, spoke with the doctor over the phone, and he actually told me he and his wife did the same thing right out of residency, started their own practice, and he just recently retired about 6 to 8 months ago. So needless to say, there were other offers, but I found out later they had already planned on giving it to me anyway. So, you know, we've been talking about purpose in our Monday morning series, and we talked about how God has a specific individual purpose for all of us. And with that purpose, He already provides the tools and resources that we need. He knows everything, the end from the beginning. And even though I had all this this trepidation about, am I going to get a building? Am I going to find something I need? The building that I needed was already there. And before I even met the owner, he already knew he was going to give the lease to me. So that is just so amazing to me, and it just builds my faith, and I hope it builds your faith too, in that whatever God has called you to do, He's already provided and made a way. But right before we were going to sign the lease, we kind of had a little hiccup. So everyone had recommended that I get a lawyer to look over the lease, so I did, which, you know, brings me to a side note. I should have been a lawyer. You know, for them to look at this like 19-20 page document, the lawyer charges like $350 an hour. And not only that, the document would only take an hour or less to read. She charges a $500 retainer just to look at this document for an hour. And I was just like, I should have been a lawyer. This is crazy. So I got that. She had suggested I make some changes, which I did, and the landlord actually agreed to, which I was surprised. So I see the benefit of a lawyer, but my goodness, I had to pay all of it up in front. Meanwhile, physicians have to beg for their money. But that's beside the point. So it comes to the day where, like, we finally agreed on the terms of the lease, and I'm ready to sign, he's ready to sign, and the realtor's ready, and it's the day of, and he wants to change the agreement. He says something about that we have to get a certificate of occupancy, and the bathroom, that they may require that the bathroom be remodeled to be ADA compliant, people that have disabilities to be compliant with that. And like, mind you, this is the day we're supposed to sign the lease, and the realtor calls me and says, oh, well, the landlord wants to put in a lease that you know, you can continue you agree to the 3-year term, but once they come out and inspect the building, which will not happen until after you sign the lease, if we need to make the bathroom ADA compliant, then we want you to agree to a 5-year lease. I said, no, I'm not doing that. And I mean, I just didn't feel comfortable. That's the whole part of signing a contract, is so you have concrete language. Not, well, if this happens, maybe we'll do this, and if not, it'll be a 5-year lease. And I just didn't feel comfortable signing a 5-year lease. You know, 3 years is long enough. No. So I spoke to some other people, lawyers and some doctors. They're like, don't sign that. So I spoke with the realtor, and I said, you know, I'm not willing to sign a lease that says that. And at this point, I'm just like, do I have to start this whole process all over again? And you know, at this point, my only option is the place with the Harry Potter sinks. So I'm just like, my goodness, I don't know what to do. But I, you know, sent the reply and told the landlord and the realtor, like, no, I won't agree to that. So then ultimately they just said, fine, we'll continue with the 3-year lease. And so we eventually all agreed, signed the lease, and it's mine. So this, to me, when we started the process, it looked impossible to me. I felt that there were so many obstacles, you know, the credit that wasn't my fault that I couldn't fix, the inexperience in my profession on my part. I'm a new graduate, but like we've been discussing in our purpose series, you have everything that you need, and whatever is for you, you will have it. And I remember throughout this process driving one day, and I love Bishop Tudor Bismarck, and I was listening to him, and he was talking about breaking limitations, and he came from a scripture reference where Jesus fed the 5,000 with a little boy's lunch, and before he broke the bread, you know, he offered it up to God and said a prayer, and the Bible says he broke the bread, and immediately I knew he broke the limitations off that bread. And I felt at that moment that God said to me, I am breaking every limitation in your life. And this whole process has showed me just how faithful he's been to his word. So as you follow me in this journey, I want you to be encouraged that no matter what obstacles I face or you face, believe in God for the impossible, that he is more than able to do everything that he has spoken in your life. So with that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing weekend, and I hope that you join me bright and early Monday morning for our Rise and Grind to Shine as we continue our discussion on purpose. If you like this, hit subscribe, and for more information, visit my website, www.themedicalinstituteforwellness.com. I pray that you be well, that you be inspired to dream big and do impossible things for God. I'll see you soon.